Welcome to Beyond the Games, your daily insight into Guernsey 2023. Proudly sponsored by SG Kleinwort Hambros Bank Limited, Guernsey branch and Jersey branch.
There's no hiding place on the tennis court, everything falls on your shoulders, and that's something Pete Robinson relishes. He explains why the sport is so important to him. All right, Pete, thanks for coming in to speak to us today. Really appreciate having your time, a bit of insight into tennis and your passion for the sport as well, and a bit on the games.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's great. What was your reaction to getting selected? First of all,
I was very pleased to be in the side again. This will be my 5th Island Games, I think, and yeah, it's always good to try and push yourself and play some competitive matches. It gives us the chance to play some different games, play some different people that we don't usually play. So it's definitely a good thing for everyone that made the team, and for anybody else out there to try and achieve, because it's a good thing for island tennis, certainly.
And sort of from your previous games experience as well, what makes it special though?
Oh, there's certainly a good buzz around the event for the week. So that's one thing we'll be looking forward to a lot on home soil. There's always a good buzz. There's a lot of people come out. The athletes are all excited to be there, and have trained hard to be there, most of them. So the best part about it, I think, is probably the buzz. And certainly this time I didn't play the last time the games was in Guernsey. I'll be looking forward to hopefully a bit of home support and a few people coming to support the Guernsey team, because that's what it's all about, really.
And what's your preparations been like leading up to this?
Preparations for me personally have been a little spotty, just because I've recently had another baby and things like that. But I've tried to play as much as I possibly can. Some others on the team have prepared very well and much harder. Certainly our women's side this year is in top shape and looking good, and they've been preparing pretty hard for a long time. So there's some expectations certainly on both sides, women's and men's. But yeah, for me personally, it's been a case of playing as much as I can. But yeah, it's not always possible. In my age, a few of the men's team are the wrong side of 30, so it does get a bit harder for us to find time and dedicate as much time to it. But that's not to say that we'll be ill prepared.
I mean, I guess it's an interesting juggling those sort of like family commitments, work commitments around dedication to sport as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's always the trade-off. You know, it would be great if we could play tennis 6 to 8 hours a day. But yeah, you'd have to be a little better than I am to justify that and earn a bit more money.
It's going to roll you back to when you first started playing tennis. What made you pick up a racket?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, and that's something that I hope that we can bring some more people in Guernsey to play tennis. That will be a big part of it for me, because I was fortunate enough that my mother is both my mum and my dad were good tennis players, and played in very well together in the Guernsey competitions and everything. So my mum has been a tennis coach at the tennis centre for many years. So she put a racket in my hand early doors and kind of pushed me to play. And yeah, there's a few things I'd like to go back and tell myself in my teens, maybe that would have helped maybe be a better player. Certainly, but yeah, no. So I was fortunate to fall into it that way. But you learn. I have to say, tennis is one of the most underrated and best sports out there. You learn a lot about yourself playing tennis. It's no hiding place on a tennis court. It's very much you against yourself and the opponent. There's no team to back you up or to blame or to pull you out of the fire. Everything falls on your shoulders, which is for better or worse. But that's a big part of tennis that I think is underrated and something that I've enjoyed on my tennis journey, you could say.
And if you could go back and tell yourself some important lessons, what would they be then?
It would probably be to be more accepting of the fact you're not going to hit the shot that you have drawn up in your head every single time. Mistakes happen, and there's a difference between a good error and a bad error, things like that. It can be difficult to keep your emotions all in check. I'm not to say that I'm a hothead or anything like that as such. Certainly not now. Now I'm a bit older, but maybe as a junior, maybe in my teens, I could have been more. I would like to have had a better mindset, more of a mindset that I have now. Then it might have helped me, but that's part of individual sport, I guess.
I guess is there anyone like you've looked up to through your tennis career as well? Any like?
Certainly, obviously heroes and things like Novak Djokovic from a professional level, but I guess more locally you could say that of my my mum and my dad, perhaps. Yeah, they had a much better temperament on court than I did, and even my brother. He's achieved slightly more than me, and is probably a little better between the years as well. But a more obvious sort of idol would be Novak Djokovic, just because how well he keeps himself calm when the moment is so big. That's something that I can only aspire to.
It's interesting. I was talking to someone the other day. They were talking about the moments of truth in tennis. That they're constant through the games and the sets and the matches. Feeds in quite nicely into that mindset.
Absolutely. The different when you're stood over a break point down or a deuce or something like that with a second serve, and your opponent's playing really well. Those are the moments, like you're saying in tennis, that you need. You want to play your best tennis, but you might inside you might be shaking like a leaf. It's very difficult to bring your best tennis to these key moments, and that's what the pros do so much better than the amateurs. And that's the difference between the top 100 and the top 500 sort of thing. So it's definitely an art I haven't mastered myself, but it's one I certainly respect and like.
How would you describe your game as well?
These days it's probably a little bit more defensive than it should be. I certainly rely on my serve a lot. That would be certainly my favourite shot, or the shot that I have the most confidence in. I don't know. I think during my 20s maybe I reverted to a more slightly defensive approach because I was fed up of going for the wrong ball and missing it, and then somehow I kind of lost my way attacking a bit. So maybe my first thought is to hang around and try and work my way to net rather than going out attacking, which isn't always the most attractive brand of tennis. So I'll be trying to. I'm taking steps to try and be more attacking. But yeah, it's probably, I guess you could say, a less attractive style, but grinding more than attacking. But there'll be plenty of attacking players out there on show in a few weeks' time for the Island Games. So there should be some good games to watch. And certainly, if anybody locally in Guernsey wants to go and watch a tennis match, I'd say Jo Dyer in the women's is well worth some of your time. There's few athletes out there, I think, that are as dedicated or have put much work into it as she has, and she certainly is attacking and is a good watch. So if you get a chance, support Jo Dyer especially. But yeah, that's the best of it for the team event, I think.
And I mean, imagine a bit of home court advantage as well on the indoor.
I hope so, yeah. I mean, I would have thought there'll be a fair few people out there supporting us, and that definitely makes a big difference. Certainly, puts a bit of pressure on the other guy when every point you win is cheered, and certainly all words of encouragement certainly help keep your feet on the ground, keep you in the moment. So there definitely should be a bit of home court advantage for us, certainly, yeah. And
what if you take me through a typical bit of preparation for you on a match day? Like, what's your routine like? What do you do?
Everybody's different. I know Rob West, who's one of our gold medal winners from previous games. He likes to get up early, hit a lot of balls, get some running, get some stretching in, and he has a very methodical, time-consuming approach. For me, I would just like to hit certainly a few balls with somebody else in the team, or just maybe an hour before, hit 15-20 minutes, so you're in a position where you're comfortable with your shots, because you only get a 5-minute warm up before against the other guy, but so you just want to be feeling the ball on your racket properly. You don't want to go in cold, like having to find a few games to find your shots. So it depends on player to player how long you can take to get to that point where you feel comfortable over a shot.
Is there anyone visiting that we should be watching out for as well, you're aware of?
From what I understand, the Jersey team are bringing a very strong group. They've got Stuart Parker, who won the gold medal in Gibraltar, who's about 450 in the world. He's a full-time pro, so he's he'll be excellent to watch for anybody that gets a chance to come down and watch the tennis. He'll certainly be the one to beat out there. So yeah, he'll be playing some good stuff. I'm sure of it. He's very, very good. So Jersey will be the team to beat, without a doubt. There's a few stalwarts from other islands, I think, that have been around that are good players as well. Bermuda usually have a good team submitted. But yeah, I have a feeling, looking at who Jersey have brought, they'll be the ones that people are chasing in the men's event. Anyway, I think they've got a good junior who I don't know too much about. I think he's under 17 or something, who's playing full time as well. So, they'll be the ones to beat.
I guess that's like a sort of perfect illustration of what the games brings in terms of standard as well. Like, you can have a professional player coming over.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it is a bit luck of the draw type thing. Billy Harris is another good player from Isle of Man that came and won the gold. He's about 300 to 350 in the world now as well. And last year in Gibraltar, there was Amanda Caceres, who was also top 250 in the world or whatever, and she was very much an outlier in terms of standard. It almost it felt a little bit unfair as such. But I don't know. It depends who turns up. But on paper, that's what it's looking like for the men's event anyway. The women, I'm not sure.
I think you touched on this a little bit earlier, but sort of like the importance of the games in terms of promoting tennis and spreading the message about what the sport can offer people.
Certainly, that's something that I've my medal expectations will be limited. So if I can inspire, well, maybe inspire's not the way. If I can encourage maybe one person out there to lift the racket and get on the court, then that would make me pleased, because I do think that it's an underrated sport, and because it's quite difficult as well. Like Guernsey, we're actually blessed in Guernsey with the amount of facilities and sports that we have. There is so much to choose from, that we have talented youngsters, talented teenagers that have other sports that they can go into, and sometimes choose that, for whatever reason, enjoyment, anything else. But tennis for me, I think, is a sport where you find out the most about yourself. It's challenging. It ticks all the boxes, but it's not an easy ride. So it puts a lot of people off as well. So I really hope that some people that are watching it this time around might pick up a racket and give it a go for themselves, because it's a great sport.
And what's your plans after the games as well with tennis?
Well, there'll be the island championships for the year. I think is usually in about September and October, so that won't be too far away. So after that, I'll probably just be looking at that for my next thing. I think there'll probably be summer and winter county for Channel Islands, although I'm not sure how many players from either island get picked for that. So for me personally, I'll just be looking towards the annual Guernsey tournament as my next focus after the games.
And where does the drive come to stay in the sport as well?
That's a good question. I mean, I am passionate about tennis, and I want to keep playing it. It's a sport that I've probably enjoyed the most throughout my life. So for me, it's more a question of finding time and dedication to keep trying to get better, because maybe I'm wrong side of 30, but it's the enjoyment of the sport. It's still when you hit that good shot that you have drawn up, that you had in your head, and you actually hit it. That's still a good feeling. That's somewhat unrivaled in other sports, perhaps. So I guess chasing that good feeling, perhaps.
Do you have any highlights, standout moments so far
from my personal tennis
career?
Yeah. Certainly winning the doubles championships. The Guernsey championships with my brother a few times. I think we won it 4 times, maybe 5. But yeah, those are good. Those are good feelings. Those are highlights, certainly. And yeah, no, I've won a few Fast Four tournaments or some like winning is always a nice feeling, isn't it? So so yeah, those that the doubles championships spring to mind is probably my favourite thing. But these trips here with the Island Games, well, not trips this time, home soil, but these are a huge bonus and a perk, and maybe some things that you don't get when you play in county in the UK or whatever. It's a fairly unique thing, the Island Games, and certainly the ones that I've been on have been great experiences. Yeah, so those are all highlights for me.
And I guess question a little bit about playing with your brother as well. How does that dynamic work? Is it an advantage, a disadvantage?
It's probably. I think it's an advantage. You know, we're quite different on court, I guess, but I don't think we've ever had a proper argument or disagreement. You know, it's Nico, my brother's usually the steady calming influence. And I'm probably a little bit more bouncy, live wire on court, maybe a little bit more emotional, but sometimes in a good way. So yeah, I think we complement each other quite well.
I should have asked this one a little bit earlier, but there's some longevity to tennis as well, isn't there? I mean, you speak about being the wrong side of 30, but you're still playing, and then
absolutely.
There's still the opportunities in Masters and beyond.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, you see even at the club, you know, people are playing long into their elderly years. I'm trying to phrase that correctly. So you know, as long as your body allows, like there's no reason to stop playing. There's like you say, there's competitions so you'll be play. You know, you're not going to be playing when you're 65. You're not going to be playing Stuart Parker. That's fine. Like there'll be somebody else out there who's also still passionate about tennis and trying to play. So it's very much a case of playing as much and to the best level you can while your body still allows. Which, you know, I'm the wrong side of 30, but I'm absolutely fine. So I'm gonna keep playing until my body gives up on me, which hopefully won't be for another 50 years yet. Yeah.
Beyond the Games, proudly sponsored by SG Kleinwort Hambros Bank Limited, Guernsey branch and Jersey branch.